All right, good afternoon, garden friends. As you know, we have been really focused on the greenhouse. Well, couple things that I need to get a handle on, and that is some of my garden beds. I'm going to turn the camera around and I'll show you what I'm talking about in regards to weeding the garden bed, because someone had told me that this weed was going to get flowers on it, and all it's doing is taking over my garden and literally suffocating my plants. Now, as I stated, from being in the master gardener class, one of the things that they talk about is right plant in the right spot. Now, I planted some crabapple profusions with the goal to be a filter for my prime, limelight primes that end up turning, the soft pink color. But because, our humidity is too crazy here, they won't change. But I thought by adding the trees there, it will provide some shade for it. But this is the thing. I am going to have to limb up the trees because in this garden here, full sun plants, I am noticing that with all the rain that we have had, it's holding water because the sun is not able to, get to the ground like it was before when the trees were small. And I'm seeing mushrooms galore. And while mushrooms will give the illusion of your soil is good, but it also ends up breeding fungus, and I don't want any of my plants in here to get fungus. So let me turn the camera around and I will show you what I'm talking about and what I'm going to be doing. Now, because it is almost 90 degrees today, I'm going to wait until the sun goes down before I get in there and clean out and limb up the trees. But I want to be able to show you this. So let me turn the camera around. All right, don't mind the mess because I was working in it late last night but didn't have the camera on. So over here is my bachelor buttons. These guys were full. When I get over to the other one, I'll show you what I ended up having to cut off because I think it is getting way too much water, and it definitely wasn't getting enough sun because, like I said, with all the rain that we've had, this ground is really soft, as if it's holding on to water. So this area is extremely wet, and it seems like it's sinking. I think it's those 3 million chipmunks that have made their little pathway through here, because even when we had the grass, it was not like that. But then these are right here is the vines that's growing up everywhere that I am needing to pull out. But what I'm gonna do, because I've cut these guys back, I'm gonna go ahead and move the mulch, build this up some more with soil to hopefully help these guys get back into shape. But as you can see, it's like doppel because of the trees. So like I said, I'm gonna limb these guys up so that I am getting more sun down here within the garden bed. But I'm going to go ahead and get this stuff cleaned up. And then you see like all those mushrooms, because it's just so much moisture back here. because the sun is not beating down on here like it normally does. So, and then my petunias, they're not doing as well, but I'm gonna dig those up and probably put them in a container so that I can still enjoy it. And then look, that's that, what they said was a flower, what it ends up growing into. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this all cleaned up. But like I said, I'm gonna wait until the sun goes down over here so that I can get this cleaned up. And then guys, you can see with the trees here, it's not that direct sun on my lime primes. And boy, look at that. The flowers are blooming. Now the ones in the back, like that one back there, here, and here, those are my regular lime lights in between my roses. So those are some of the things that I'm gonna be doing, is getting all that. That is not a plant, that's a weed. That's not gonna produce any type of flower. And then it looks like my salvia, I'm gonna go ahead and get that cut back because I can see all new growth. It made a beautiful showing, you know, so get that done. But look at here, guys. This is what has happened to my bachelor buttons. Just way too much water. So I'm gonna get all that clipped off because it's never done that before. And we've had an exorbitant amount of rain so far this season. End up pushing my muley grass back. But yeah, look at it. It's all in there. And I want to be able to get that out of the beds. So like I said, I'm going to wait until the sun goes down and then get over here, because like even my tick seed, I need to get that clipped off. My Garo is doing well too. And then my what are these? Proven Winners buttercream daisies are doing well. Like I said, the goal is to have continuous blooms in the garden, but I definitely need to get all of this water issue addressed by putting some more soil, getting these weeds out, limbing up my crabapple profusions so that it is getting more sun in here. So I went in, guys, look at here. Look at my golden shower roses. They are doing so well, climbing up. Just looking amazing. I need to deadhead, but they got like a lot of buds on it. So that's what I'm going to be doing. Now, one of the plants that's impacted by not getting enough sun is my gregaria. It is a form of sage. But I got some dead leaves on here that I'm gonna go ahead and clip back, sort of get it shaped up so that another flush will come through later in the season. I think too, I'm probably going to get some little stakes and stake them up, because I mean, it's not supposed to be trailing, but like I said, I do believe it's because I'm not getting as much sun, because my ones that are up by the house and out in the front garden bed is just really full and not draping, but it seems like they are reaching for more sunlight. So I'm kind of hoping when I limb up this tree, it will provide them with the needed sunlight. so they can continue to be successful. So let me go ahead and get everything cut back. Now, with any gardening, and I know with me, always changing my mind, the salvia that is here, I do believe, because it is getting way too much water, especially with all the rain. And let me ask you guys, do you find that is what causes the salvia to flop over? And if so, put your remedy in the comment. But what I'm going to actually do, because they don't like wet feet, we've been having an exorbitant amount of rain, I'm actually going to pick it up and put it in a pot instead, and see how it does in the pot. But I'm also, the Shasta daisy, I'm also going to dig that up, because I want to be able, to add more color in here, because a lot of the plants ended up flowering early in the season. I want to be able to have, continual colors, and a lot of this area is whites and pinks and purples. So I did get some phlox, the tall woodland phlox, that I'm gonna be putting in these locations to add that punch of color. So go ahead and get the salvia dug up, the Shasta daisies dug up, and then get woodland phlox over here. I think it's gonna look pretty. And then I'm lining up the walkway in between the ornamental onions with some white vinca. And I think having that pop of color will look really nice. So let me go ahead and get my shovel and the plants that I'm gonna put in here and get those guys planted. I was gonna cut it back, but there's like a lot of flowers on here. So I'm not, so I could at least enjoy them. Oh yeah, the ground is like really wet. And like I said, they do not like a lot of water. So I do think by me putting it in a pot, that'll help it stay upright. Yeah, and I want to make sure I put this in some really good potting soil. Oh, and these vines! All right, I'm gonna put that phlox over here. All right, guys, I'm like frustrated. Okay, so that looks pretty there. But once again, my bachelor buttons, this is just way too much water. Even though I thinned them out, I'm gonna dig those up on both sides and take them out of here and put them someplace else. I cannot stand this while the rain is good for the garden. This is just way too much rain. So I'm gonna go ahead and get these things dug up, the plants planted, and then I'll get back on once I get everything done. All right, guys, this is what I'm talking about. These are my favorites. You can tell, just look at the roots at the base, and then as it's climbing up, how dry rotted that is. So I'm gonna go ahead and dig all of my bachelor buttons out of this garden bed. Like they say, right plant, right place. And right now, it is not the right place for my bachelor buttons in this garden bed. But let me show you what I've gotten done so far. Okay, so I got everything deadheaded on this side. In place of the bachelor buttons, I put some bee balm there, added some vinca in here, and then the woodland phlox. But one of the things that I did do is on all of the area, I built it up with mulch to help keep the leaves from laying on the ground, to allow a little more air circulation. And then this was the crazy part, zinnias. I knew this was too wet because, I mean, you could see that the zinnias, the leaves were all mushy and what have you. But like I said, I did limb up the tree to allow more sun to get over here. So I'm gonna kind of hope that, you know, if we continue with this rain, that when the sun comes out, it does allow it to dry up. So this is good. You know, I don't know about you guys, but while I love gardening, my husband says, you know, I'm frustrated with all the rain because I'm a control freak. And as you know, I hand water. I got control over how much water these plants get. And well, it is beneficial. Just might have to reimagine how this bed here is laid out. Okay, so I got the other side done. And as you guys know, I mimic my garden beds with the plants. Now, we did, like I said, limbed up the trees with the hope that it will allow more sun. And one of the things that I am going to do, and you can see right here in regards to still casting shade, one of the things that I did learn from the Master Gardener class is for when you trim and shape your trees, you want the branches that go up. And as you can see, I have some that's crossing over. That I believe is casting the shade. But I think based off us limbing up the tree, I'm seeing more sun over in this garden, with the hope that it will end up drying up the water. So I'm really happy with how this has turned out, especially adding the woodland phlox there, and that'll get about 12 to 18 inches. And like I said, a lot of the perennials that I have in here have bloomed, so I did end up adding some vincas, the zinnias in here, the white vincas that is in between the ornamental onions. And I think that it will allow, having this sun, allow these guys to bloom really, really nicely. But like I said, right over there, I think that one branch will end up getting cut, but I am going to wait until this fall because, you know, we did limit up and I don't want to do too much cutting. And then especially when we are getting into the heat of summer. But yeah, guys, this was the right thing to do, to where I could still enjoy the beauty of the crabapple profusions, that it ends up providing doppel shade for my lime primes in the background. But like I said, that's gardening. You got to be able to adjust and make the needed changes. Well, thank you again for visiting Inspiring Garden Corner. And if you enjoy my content, please consider liking, sharing, and subscribing to my channel. I so appreciate it.